and welcome to another exciting adventure of the moon. My name's Alicia and this is Soul in Balance. Alrighty, so full moon in Libra, and this will be happening on the 19th of April at 9:12 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now this full moon is going to be the second full moon in Libra, and this is why we hear the term a blue moon. But I've also read that for the Native Americans that it's a pink moon. So, you know, it is many types of moons right now, but there is a lot going on. It is really a tough time. There is endings happening everywhere in all areas of our lives. There might be the odd person here and there that probably isn't experiencing any endings, and that's pretty awesome. But for the majority of people, there is just endings happening, and it is such a hard time. There is a lot of people not feeling like they have any stability or have any foundation, feeling very alone, feeling very scared and in fear, in the sense of, you know, just not knowing where to go, not knowing what to hold on to, not knowing what direction to go. It really is tough, and we really need to be, you know, finding balance within ourselves, because Libra is about balance. So if we can find the balance within ourselves right now, this is what's going to help us move forward. And like with all full moons, it's about releasing, and especially because Libra represents relationships. It represents all types of relationships. It doesn't always represent intimate partnerships. It also represents, you know, family relationship, friend relationships, work colleagues, and things like that. So a lot of us are experiencing such a rough trot, in the sense of, you know, realizing the truth in situations. And, you know, some of it is really frightening to think that we've been in these relationships or circumstances that were not in any kind of integrity, that weren't good for us. And, you know, it's really upsetting in a way to see the truth, to have all this truth revealed to us, you know, the things that we haven't seen. But at the same time, we really need to be having a lot of compassion for ourselves and also for the people involved, because it's all just a lesson. At this time, it's all about ending cycles, ending, you know, karmic situations that are here to be cleared. And, you know, the meaning of karmic situations isn't necessarily bad. It just means that we're ending cycles, you know, that have been from generations and generations, you know, especially our bloodlines. And as a collective, we're just releasing old cycles of, you know, the way we operate or the way we've been conditioned. So, you know, no one needs to feel like, you know, they've done something bad and this is their consequences. It's just that we're just ending old cycles and ending old patterning that aren't ours. You'll probably find that a lot of the stuff that's going on right now is just clearing generations of stuff, generations of fear and control, and, you know, all these types of dynamics like oppression and suppression, like where we can be suppressing ourselves or where we're being oppressed by other people. And especially with the dynamics with Capricorn, you know, with Pluto, the South Node, and Saturn there, it really is just ending cycles. Everything is coming to a closure, coming to an end. We're in the midst of a death. I kind of see it as like the Ten of Swords, which really does highlight, or the Ten of Swords in the tarot cards, it really does highlight just the end, a death. It's over, it's done, it's completed. Like, we can't be reviving a dead horse. Like, these cycles and these situations need to go. We need to be able to throw them off. And, you know, don't get me wrong, there probably are situations where things can be revived, where things can be renewed, because obviously Pluto is there, death and rebirth. but for the majority of us, for the majority of what's going on globally, things are ending, and we really need to be accepting this. And I know it's really hard. I've had to go through this myself in all areas of my life, and most of my clients are the same as well. So I think it's really important just to be there for yourself, support yourself, and find the inner balance within yourself and release what's leaving with love. And it is hard sometimes, and in some situations we've been really hurt, especially what we've discovered the truth of situations. It can be really hard to send something off with love, and I'm not going to say that it's that you have to do that, but I do think it's important that maybe somewhere down the track, or if you just try and put it forward that you are willing to just let that go with love at some point once that healing has occurred. But it is really important that we just let all this go with love, that all these dynamics have come about so we can be the best version of ourselves, so we can let go of our old traumas and our old conditioning and our old stuck ways of operating. And that's the thing, like, change comes from traumatic situations most of the time. Most of us don't change from, love, peace and harmony. We change from something traumatic and something hurtful. It, inspires us to grow and have a new way of thinking, a new way of operating. And that's what we all need to be doing right now. And it is so highlighted, like it's just highlighted everywhere. So yes, it is really tough, and we are just, walking into the nothingness. It just, is a hard time for everyone. Everybody is going through this. And, it really is just a time for surrendering to what we can't change or what we don't have control over, because realistically we have no control over anything. All we have control over is ourselves. And the best way to see or understand of what we need to surrender or what we need to let go of is to look to the North Node in Cancer and understand our feelings. How do these situations make us feel? And I think the number one thing of importance is, does it make us feel safe? If our relationships and situations in life aren't making us feel safe, aren't making us feel valued and, in our integrity, then we know that that's what needs to go. If we know that something isn't in alignment with us, then we need to let it go. Like, we can't be just grasping at all the rubble and the dust that's left over from all, the collapsing of our structures. It's really important that we just let it go and surrender, and understanding this is a time of the new. I think when things are all falling apart and we don't feel safe and we don't feel like we've got a foundation, all we can see is the rubble. We forget that there's a sunrise in the background, and we need to see that we are moving into the new. We are moving into something better than what we've ever known before. Yes, globally things are harder than ever, but on a level of, like a human level, on a soul perspective level on this planet, we are evolving, we are becoming, higher frequency beings. So it really is important to know that, we are aligning with our truth. We are aligning to be better and have better and be more happy. So I think it's kind of important that, when things are down, try and have that positive view of, yes, better things are coming. And, don't get me wrong in the sense that some days, you might feel like, things are terrible and nothing's working out. And then other days you might just have these radical, positive moments where you're just happy to move forward and everything's going great and you're looking forward and moving into the new. And then the next day it can be bang, back in the rubble, back in the disaster, or something else has hit that, has caused more chaos. So, like I said before, it's just about being present for yourself, finding balance within yourself. And I know I've been saying this the last few videos, the last few months, but it's just been a constant theme right now. Things are coming to a close and is going to continue to happen, at least through to 2020, like maybe April 2020 next year, especially January 2020 next year. It's just all endings, and it is massive themes around relationships, especially with this second full moon in Libra, and especially at the critical degree, 29 degrees. It's highlighting the end of structures in relationships. And this is even squaring out to, in Capricorn, Pluto, the South Node, and Saturn. It's just ending completions over in the sense of relationships. And then the themes highlighted again, triggering us to heal our wounding, as Venus is there with Mercury that has come out of shadow phase, that is with Chiron, the wounded healer, or where we're wounded in a collective sense. Which again, even moving forward after this full moon, there's going to be more themes about wounding in relationships. And then Venus is then going to square Juno, which is, all represents commitment. So it's just a constant theme. And I know I sound like a Debbie Downer, or especially in the sense of relationships and people who are trying to find hope in their own relationships. But it is going to be, we are going to get smashed more with this stuff. So, to the people that are in serious relationships, that are married, that are in, very, committed relationships with children, this is a really hard time. We are in a time where people need to be coming in and healing and being in solitude in a way. So the people that are in relationships, I really take my hat off to you in the sense that it must be even harder. Even as a single person, I can say that, I struggle, it's really hard. But then to be in a relationship with all these relationship themes would just be, really, really tough. So, to all the people that are in relationships, I do wish everyone all the best, and just know that these things are happening so we can evolve and we can let go of the old. And if you are in a relationship that is in alignment with you, where you both can transform and be a better version of yourselves, then these are the relationships that are going to move forward, that won't be affected by these endings. So yeah, there is major themes around relationships. I wish that I could give more of a positive update for relationships, but this is what is going on. And I think the best thing to do is to see everything that's happening as a positive. All pain that we go through, all happiness that we go through, all, times that we're in a lull or in a void space, everything happens for a reason. Everything is so we learn. That's why we're on the planet. We're here to learn and heal and evolve and clear. So we're not just here to be sitting by the pool, sipping on lemonade with our partner and just having these, white picket fence lives. We're actually here doing a lot of work, and, there are a lot of people that don't want to do any work. And you know what? They might not be here this life doing that work. It might be in their next life, or it might be something that they did in a previous life, and this life might be a little bit easier. I'm not sure. Everybody's situation is different. But yes, at the end of the day, right now is all about relationships. So I just wanted to give a heads up that things don't look like they're going to be easing up anytime soon, or at least not for the remainder of the month. And, then coming to the end of the month, I think around about the 25th, Pluto goes retrograde. And then I think around about the 29th of the month, Saturn also goes retrograde, which means going internal, breaking down those old structures within us. So yes, more intense times coming up. But I think if we can look at the positive, if we can look at the new that's coming through, so we can have a better life, so we can achieve what we want, so we can love ourselves and be solid within ourselves, that is what is worth driving forward for. So yes, I will leave that there for the relationship sector, but that is what is going on at the moment. Alrighty, so back to the aspects of this full moon. So like all full moons, the moon is opposite the sun that's in Aries. And like always, we go to the polarity point of Aries where the sun is for help with this releasing in this full moon. So Aries is the am that I am, and where I can initiate what I want, and believing in ourselves and what we need for ourselves moving forward. So at this time, we really need to be implementing in our relationships as we let go of the old, or as we transform. We need to add our worth into that. We need to add what we need on a primal level. And also because Uranus is there in Taurus, it's also electrifying the situation, causing radical change. So if we're being stuck in our relationships and putting our head in the sand and not wanting to do the work, not wanting to change, not wanting to let go, Uranus will just come through like a lightning bolt and just will be absolute disruption and discord. And that's not all that Uranus does. It also just really gives us a higher perspective, revolution, evolution, causing striking events so we can see what's really going on, so we can evolve and see things from a higher perspective. So definitely at this time, if I could give any advice, it would be to move to that direction, that the polarity in Aries of I am the am that I am, and loving ourselves and valuing ourselves and seeing things from an evolution point of view. What needs to go? What's no longer serving us? What is no longer good for us? And at this time, this full moon is making a sextile out to Jupiter retrograde. So Jupiter went retrograde last week, or was it this week? Can't remember, so many things going on. But yes, so that is asking us to go internal and find the truth. Jupiter is expansive, and in Sagittarius, its home sign, it really is about, finding our truth, finding our wisdom, expanding on our truth. So it is, very amplified in Sagittarius. So at this time, we're going to be going in. And this is an E, so it's a sign of E. So a sextile from this full moon over to Jupiter retrograde will be a sign of E. So we're easily going to see the truth within ourselves. We're easily going to see our wisdom and find where we need to expand internally. And this full moon is also in conjunct over to Neptune in Pisces, Venus in Pisces, Mercury and Chiron. So that is like the fly in the room that we can't do anything about, or the mosquito, that annoying noise. So we really, can't get away from these relationship themes, this communication, this understanding, this learning. So we really just have to deal with it and accept it, accept that we need to change. And also this full moon is squaring out to the nodal axis, squaring out to the past that we need to clear and change, that's breaking down, and squaring out to our feelings that need to now be valid and be the source of our drive forward. So yes, so much going on in the astrological aspects, but it all is coming to a positive. It all is so we love and value ourselves, so we represent ourselves in the best light, love ourselves like never before. Alrighty, so I'm going to do the Sabian symbol for this critical degree of the full moon. Now, as the full moon is at 29 degrees, and then we go to 30 degrees for the Sabian symbol, I'm not going to be doing that because I think the 29th degree of the Sabian symbol is way more fitting than the 30th degree. So I'll just read what the information for this one. So 29 degrees of Libra. Mankind's vast and enduring effort to reach for knowledge and transferable from generation to generation. Keen note, a deep sense of participation in and commitment to social processes which seek to bring all men to truth and a greater life. Now, this is what I've been saying for weeks now. This is what I've been saying. This whole video is about ending cycles, changing our social processes, and, from generation to generation. I don't think many people are aware, like, what we don't heal, we pass on to the next generation to heal, or we pass on that, suppression and oppression and our fear and our wounding onto the generations forward. So realistically, whatever your parents didn't heal within them, they pass on to you to heal. And, the same goes for your children. Whatever you don't heal, whatever you don't work on, you pass on to your children. And, I don't want it to sound harsh, but that's the reality of the situation. That is why it's so important right now that we just end this stuff. Like, we just end this, conditioning and stuff that's been passed down from generation to generation. It is so important. Like Capricorn and Cancer, they really represent the past, and and especially at this time, it's clearing the past, clearing old cycles, just clearing that stuff so we can have a better life. And that is what is in this Sabian symbol, to have a better life, to live in our truth, change these processes from generation to generation. Like, do we really want to be suppressing our children and suppressing ourselves as we move forward? We get enough of that from, our corporations and the elite and those in power. Like, let's not do it to ourselves. And, there's been, what I actually have noticed on social media, there is so much fighting and bickering amongst each other about who's bad and who's this and who's whatever. Like, at this moment and at this time, we need to be coming together. Like, the people need to be coming together. Like, we have so much stuff thrown at us by those in power, so we separate, so we argue amongst ourselves, so we don't pay attention to what's really going on, so we don't point the finger at and do something about what's really happening in our societies. And you can even watch Game of Thrones, that'll tell you the exact same thing, which is a representation of what we are going through right now. Like, in Game of Thrones, all these, groups and people need to be coming together so they can fight their common enemy. We need to be doing the same. I don't know why we're not. And it is hard because, we've had all these things thrown at us, so we become separated. But at this time, we need to be coming together, for our one mutual understanding. The power is with the people, not the corporations. And I had some dude say to me the other day when I was talking about getting an electric car, like, I don't think there's any reason to get another petrol-based car. Like, it's something that's going to be phased out. There's so much fracking and all these things going on in the world. And this guy was just like, what's the point? It doesn't make a difference. But it's not about what happens globally. It's just knowing that you're making that difference. You're, making that change. And I think that's what we all need to be doing. Things are hard, and it is hard to think, oh, if I change, that's not going to make other people change. But it really does. So if we can implement the thinking of, hey, we need to take our power back on an individual level and a collective level. And when that happens, that's when things change. Not when we're all bickering amongst ourselves and disagreeing with each other and blah, 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 blah. I just find that, especially with the older generations, they're more conditioned. They've had to live in society longer and, had more restrictions growing up. So obviously it is a little harder for them. Same with that dude that was telling me not to waste my time getting an electric car. Like, it's like people saying, oh, what's the point in, trying to change anything? Nothing's going to change. But it does change. When we believe that change can happen, that's when it happens. And we all need to be coming together. We all need to be making that change and working together and taking our power back. So yes, I'm wanting to do a card for right now, something as a bit of a survival inspiration card for this full moon, as I do think it's going to be a little bit difficult. So yeah, so I'll wait till a card falls out. But yeah, realistically, hidden gift, sadness, endings, and a new beginning. So yes, this card really does highlight the ending of something. It can be the ending of relationships, it can be an ending of a job, it can be an ending of an old way of living, it can be an ending of a friendship, whatever it is. It could be a career. But with an ending always comes a gift or something new. And I think that if we can understand that at this full moon, that if we can actually let go and have the courage and believe in ourselves and have the strength to let go, that something better is going to come. And this is what this whole theme is about. And it's about honoring our self-worth as well. How are we going to be honoring ourselves if we're staying in something that doesn't resonate with us? That's not honoring our self-worth. You know, like, so it's really, you know, a lot of people don't understand that all these little things, by staying in things that are toxic, by being with somebody just to keep your codependency needs or because you're scared of change, that is a disservice to the self. It's a disservice to somebody else, and it's a disservice to ourselves because we're not living in our integrity. We're not honoring our self-worth and what we need and what is aligning with us. So, you know, grasping onto things and not letting go of things is going to cause more pain. And it really is as we get closer to 2020. So, you know, getting this card again, you know, really, you know, you can't make this stuff up realistically. Like, let it go. Let go of what's not working. So, yes, I know that was a bit of a rant for that, but yeah, like realistically, just let go of it all. There is a hidden gift coming if you can release what needs to be released. Okay, so let's recap before I end this video. So at this time, it is important to let go. I know we are letting go of so much, but we need to continue to let go so we make room for all the new and amazing things that are coming into our lives. And I think at this time, we really need to be finding some balance, understanding that it's okay some days to not be okay. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to sometimes feel like a victim. It's okay to not be coping and, you know, barely keeping it together. But then, you know, honor those days where you do feel good. You know, appreciate what's been happening and move into the new, understanding that amazing things are coming, and try and find a balance internally, because Libra represents the scales, it represents balance, and obviously because we can't find that externally, we are being called to find that internally, and we are being triggered left, right and center, and it has been going on for months and it is going to continue. And I want to highlight on the 25th of April that we are going, when Pluto goes retrograde, the moon is going to be there. So it's going to be the moon, Pluto, South Node and Saturn, and this is going to be super intense. Like, it really is, because when a planet stations to go retrograde, it really digs down into that situation and emphasizes what is going on. So we can be having more revelations, more endings, more disruptions, more breakdowns. So yeah, be aware around about the 25th of April, and then obviously at the 29th of April, Saturn also goes retrograde as well. So literally the remainder of April is going to be tough. You know, like, it doesn't mean that, you know, there's no hope and everything's terrible. There is. Just understand that it is all breaking down for a reason, so better structures can be built. But yeah, realistically, we need to be letting go of dynamics in relationships, because that is what Libra represents. And we need to be finding the am that I am, finding our self-worth in all this chaos. And yes, it's hard, but it's worth it. It is so worth it. Like, even myself, as I just lose everything in every aspect of my life. Like, it's literally, I lose something, it's like, all right, I'll rebuild myself back up. And then, you know, a few days of feeling good, and then bang, the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And it's hard, but just keep getting back up. Just keep going forward. Just keep releasing, just keep surrendering that old stuff, and know for everything that you release, you will be blessed with a new gift or a new dynamic or something better. So yeah, it's not a good time to be holding on to anger or resentment to ourselves or to others. Everything has a divine purpose. Nobody is bad. Everything is triggering us, so we change, so we evolve, so we let go of the old and change our mental way of thinking, because Libra is an air sign, you know, and with the tarot card, the 10 of Swords, it is about the way we think. We need to change the way we think, our old systems, the communication to ourselves, the way we think structures should be. It's all this old mental conditioning. It all needs to fade away. And now Mercury is going direct and out of shadow phase. You know, we're going to be able to understand things better. We're going to be able to move forward, process, put things together better than what was going on, why Mercury was in retrograde. So yeah, realistically, we need to just be letting go, releasing, and just letting go. Oh, God, I'd have to, you know, give myself $1 for every time I've said let go, release in this video. But yeah, it is a tough time. Compassion for yourself, so important. Be there for yourself. No skipping out on yourself, you know, like no running away or going to parties or hanging out with friends. When you're down, be there for yourself. Tell yourself that you're okay. Tell yourself you're doing a great job and everything you have done is great. You know, obviously some of us are going to be making mistakes and continuing old patterns, and you know, we're not going to be happy with maybe the way that we've done things, but we need to be kind to ourselves and understand that some of the things that we've done have been from, you know, our own understanding and what we understand up until this point. So, you know, I don't want anyone to be feeling, you know, bad about how things have turned out, because it's turned out that way for a reason. It needed to close. That cycle needed to end. You know, it could be a relationship where, you know, you just can't believe how it's turned out to be how it has, you know, and you might still really care about that person, but understand that it had to happen, that person came into your life to teach you that lesson. You come together in that dynamic because something needed to be learnt from both sides. And now that lesson is learnt, you know, you've learnt all you can from that situation. It's time to move on. You've evolved. So yeah, like just a time for letting go. So yeah, like all full moons, you know, doing some kind of a ritual, letting go, putting your crystals out, writing, you know, a letter, or burning it, throwing it, you know, I won't say throwing it into the ocean, that's pretty bad, like littering. But yeah, like just writing down how you feel, giving it to the universe, you know, something in a way to represent releasing, or at least spend time thinking about what you'd like to release. So some really exciting stuff. Next 2 moon videos, I'm going to be in Egypt, so super stoked for that. So it'll be pretty cool to bring you the next couple of videos from Egypt. So if there's anything you want to see or anything you'd like me to talk about in the next video, please put it in the comments. Also, some other super exciting news. When I get back from Egypt, I'm going to be doing moon cycle videos. So if you are in Melbourne, Australia, I'm going to be doing, oh, did I say videos? I mean moon cycle workshops. So if you are in Melbourne, Australia, I'm going to be doing moon cycle workshops, so you understand all the phases of the moon, the 8 phases. So, you know, a full moon, a new moon, and also, you know, how the moon moves around the chart each month, and as it goes through all the signs, how that's going to affect you. It's also going to be, you know, showing you what your moon sign is, how you operate emotionally, you know, what the moon represents for you. And every single time I do a video on the new moon or the full moon, you will be able to find where that full moon or new moon falls in your chart, so you know on an individual level how that new moon or that full moon is going to affect you. So if you are interested in doing this workshop, I'll be doing a few of them. I'd like to do them, you know, like every month. in Melbourne. So yeah, please contact me on the information below or on my Facebook or on my website. So that should be up and running in a couple of months. But yes, that is it for me. So I hope everybody has a fantastic full moon in Libra, and honestly, many soul journey blessings, and I'll see you soon.